Dear Goans and all those who love Goa, hello and welcome. I'm Sujay Gupta and I'm starting a new show on this new platform, the Goan Narrative, a platform that breaks the clutter, a platform that is not afraid to get straight to the point, and a platform that dissects myth and brings reality. A platform that does fearless journalism and a journalism that means a lot to the people, to the poorest of the poor, and to the most weakest sections of stakeholders who need a strong voice to take their pleas and take their problems across. The latest controversy of sorts is a series of claims and counterclaims across all platforms on whether Goa tourism has seen a dip or has it seen a massive growth. Now, in the sense that the whole story, the whole narrative is like that elephant which is touched by multiple blind men who are touching different spots at the elephant and coming to their own conclusions. Now, the point here is data the ultimate decider of whether Goa's tourism is booming or not, or is experience the ultimate decider? And at the end of the day, is all the information coming out of only influencers who are propagating falsehoods and demeaning Goa, or is any conversation happening with actual Goan stakeholders, people living in Goa, doing business in Goa, who may be saying the same thing that the influencers are saying, thereby nullifying the fact that all these influencers have been lying about the problems with Goa tourism. Now, the issue here is, let's not, before coming to any conclusion and saying this side is right or the other, let us look at what has been put out and the data that has been used to claim that Goa tourism is booming. And then one can extrapolate that data and get into what is right and what is wrong. Because at the end of the day, the data is not always king, but data is an interpreter. But let's look at what the tourism minister said recently. He said, in response to the large barrage of stuff coming out from influencers saying the streets are empty, Goa's hotels are not full, people are, people have deserted Goa and gone to Sri Lanka and so on and so forth. The government responded by saying, look, these people seem to be influenced by people in Sri Lanka and Thailand and other places, and they're deliberately doing this to bring Goa a bad name. Anyway, we put that aside and cut straight to the data given by the tourism minister about 2 or 3 days ago. He says 99.41 lakh domestic tourists and 4.67 lakh foreign tourists arrived in Goa. Fair enough. Then he goes on to say that the number of domestic tourists have increased by 22%. And then he also says that the foreign tourists have gone up by 3%. Now, he also asserted, when asked why is the growth of foreign tourists low, he says that Asian tourism is yet to recover from the COVID-19 stage, and currently it stands at 18%. 3% growth is a positive outcome and better than the national average. Now the here is, we need to kind of look at this data and then get on to the next aspect of the discussion. Now the point here is, where is this data coming from? And the second point here is that, does the increasing data or the claimed data increase reflect the fact that Goa tourism is booming? Let's look at it this way. This kind of specific data, 99.41 lakh tourists coming, domestic tourists, and so on and so forth. Now, the point here is that this data is got primarily from, say, airlines or from the airport itself, and also from hotels, because hotels also continuously give details of the number of foreigners who've checked in and Indians who've checked in. Now, how do we assume that this data actually means that these are the number of tourists who actually come in? Because the people checking into hotels are not necessarily all of them tourists. People are coming for business. People are coming for weddings and my exhibitions and sort of marriages, exhibitions, conferences, and so on and so forth. The point here is that all these people who are checking in are not necessarily tourists. Secondly, apart from the hotel data, we do not know the exact number of data that is coming in, and we do not even know whether the total number of rooms that are occupied by tourists or not, and certainly not. So this data actually cannot correspond to an actual reflection of the number of foreign tourists who've come in or number of domestic tourists who've come in. When you look at foreign tourists, yes, the foreign tourist numbers are mainly due to the fact that the charter tourism business is doing well and the charters have come in, and these charters have added to the footfall. But the credit for that goes to the charter companies and some of the hotels, especially in South Goa, who've tied up with them, and they've got it. And these charters are indeed coming in. But that does not necessarily mean that there is a huge surge of foreign tourists anyway. And then, if you say that the surge in foreign tourists is less because we've still not recovered from COVID, that also is an incorrect statement. Because if you really go to Sri Lanka and if you go to Thailand, the figures in Sri Lanka and Thailand are beyond 20 to 25% growth, and that is really happening. And I was myself speaking to two prominent Goan hoteliers who happen to be in Sri Lanka now, and they are essentially saying that hotels are packed, restaurants are packed, nightclubs are packed. You have no space on the roads, and the foreign tourists are absolutely kind of teeming Colombo and Kandy and other places and Galle. Now coming to the domestic tourists. The issue here is there is something called data which I've already spoken about. But look at the ground reality. Now, on the 31st of December, and this is information coming from locals, local businessmen, local hoteliers, people who are here, they are Goans. Okay, they are not outsiders. The information given from them is tangible and it is extremely important, and that completely contradicts this huge domestic tourist data surge that the minister is talking about. Because here you see, on the 31st, there's a very prominent hotelier who runs one of the topmost restaurants in the northern belt. He says that on pre-COVID, when he had to go from his home to his restaurant, which is barely about less than 4 or 5 kilometers away, it used to take him 31 minutes on the 31st of December. This year, it took him 7 minutes. The roads were so deserted. Then he also said that all across that Kalangud belt, Kandulim belt, and others, the streets were literally deserted. People were coming out. There was only a sprinkling of people. There were tables to be had in most restaurants. So this is a ground reality. In some of the popular restaurants in the evening, there were a lot of locals, people from Panjim and other places who congregated and had fun. Where was the tourist? And then I also spoke to a general manager, and actually more than one general manager of prominent hotels in the northern belt, five-star hotels. They turned around and said, look, we have had a 9% less spend per person in the month of December compared to last year. Overall, we are 22% less when it comes to spends per person. So it's a huge dip across the year. So what he's essentially saying is people may be checking in, but they're not spending money. Thirdly, he said that yes, I mean all the hotels were not obviously chock-a-block and occupied, but all the hotels, even some of the hotels reached survival level occupancy because they reduced their rates by 4 times. So a room that was selling for 40 was reduced by 4 times, after which some bookings came in at the last moment. And he actually said that there was panic all over the place when this happened. I'm talking of North Goa. So ideally, the issue here is uh, we realize that people may have checked in, some hotels may have been full, but the ground reality is this. Secondly, the number of tourists who are actually flocking in, we need to check where are they actually staying. Are they staying at all, or are they staying in cars? Secondly, are they spending at all on restaurants, or are they having 100 rupee biryani and going back? No harm in that. But the point is, they are not choosing to spend here. And where are they sleeping? The same hotelier said in front of his hotel he saw cars, not one but more cars of people actually sleeping there at night, putting their ACs on and sleeping the whole night. So obviously using that space, the car as the hotel room. We need to also figure out how many people have actually taken taxis, how many people have actually hired rented cars. We need to figure out how much of money has come into the economy. The taxi guys and the rent a car guys, everybody is crying. Everybody says that our business is down. So if hoteliers in the north are saying the business is down, if restaurateurs are saying the business is down, if taxi guys are saying the business is down, if rent-a-car people are saying the business is down, where is tourism booming? So the point here is we need to take a serious look at this without looking into data. And I think let's stop this uh, blame game saying influencers are coming and really affecting Goa, demeaning them, and so on and so forth. You leave the influencers aside. Let us say the influencers are bad news, and what they are doing is harming Goa. You take them to task if you want to, but listen to your own people. The feedback about hotels being low in occupancy or having to cut down rates, people not getting into restaurants to eat, people sleeping in cars, these are stories told by our own Goans right here. They are not influencers, they are victims of the state of tourism that is happening now, is happening in Goa. So to conclude, let us understand this, that let us stop playing the data game. Let us understand what the ground reality is. Let us get spending tourists into Goa, because there is no point in just tourists coming and going, but you need spending tourists, and you need to create a better overall experience, because without creating that overall experience, people will still go to other places, and you cannot blame influencers for this, because they are going because they are getting a better experience in other places. Thank you.